The Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by the SGPN merch store. Use the promo code SGPNBA to get 10% off everything in the store. Welcome, everybody, to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne, up in the northeast of England. Today is Thursday, April the 20th, and we are here to handicap a slate of 8 Premier League games on Saturday and Sunday. Friday, Saturday and Sunday. In fact, we've got a Friday night game. And we've got 2 FA Cup semi-finals as well. One on Saturday and one on Sunday. So loads of action. Busy schedule, actually, because there's midweek card next week as well. So it's a double bubble of excitement. And joining us from somewhere in Nottinghamshire is Mr. Barry Penaluna. Baz, what's happening?
How are we doing? I'm
tremendous.
I'm just
you must be
gnawing on a lump of cheese at the moment.
Oh yeah, you must be made of money, are you, Baz?
I was running late and I realised I haven't had anything to eat this evening.
Well, you were running late, so £2 in the tin. Or
lump of cheddar.
Ooh. £2, or I can't remember, £4 if we're going on microwave time. So we'll probably split. I'll tell you, I'll do you a favour, Baz. £3 is the answer. £3 in the tin.
For that fire stick.
What fire stick? You haven't got a fire stick. It was your mate. You couldn't confirm nor deny.
I've got to pass it on to my mate though.
For the existence of the fire stick. Right, I've got a question to ask you, Baz. It's quite important. I was talking to Terza this week, and he told me, I don't know why we're talking about this. Did you or did you not ever have Bobby Zamora's phone number?
Yes.
That's what he said. What a weird. Why?
Why did I? I can't remember the story.
But you know,
it comes straight to my head. As soon as you mentioned it, I can't for the life of us. There'll be somebody who will know the answer to that.
Who will know the answer to that?
I don't know how.
So you know that you had Bobby Zamora's phone number, but you don't know why.
I'm sure it was something random, like somebody messaged me. I've got a feeling he might have messaged me like on the wrong number or something. I don't know.
What year was this?
I need to rack my brains. This must have been. I was still working in Newcastle. I mean, we're talking 10 years ago, maybe. Is
that all?
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
When was Bobby Zamora actively playing decent level?
A thing.
It was.
He was around for years, wasn't he?
He was a thing like at the time. I'll tell you who might know, Nick, because I'm sure I was working with Nick at the time. So I'll ask the question. But yes, I did have, for some reason, Bobby Zamora's phone number. I don't know why.
Good. Right, I'll take that off then.
I mean, that's
told me about that.
Half of our listeners probably don't even know who Bobby Zamora is.
No, Bobby Zamora. He had quite a good song, didn't he? When the ball hits the goal, it's not Shearer or Cole, it's Zamora. That was his song. So there you go. He was playing around the time of Shearer, Cole. You see, the clues are coming together, Baz. We put this stuff together. YouTube open and lively. Captain saying, "Oh, good evening," and Serial's here. Serial is quite rightly pointing out that Barry only tails Munaf's baseball picks off the MLB show rather than mine. Do you want to explain yourself?
Does that count as baseball chat? And a fine?
Yeah, it's a $1 fine. I'll tell you what, we're making money hand over fist. You're already in for £3.
I'll tell you why, Malcolm. Munaf makes it really easy. I follow Munaf the Machine Manji on Twitter. Yeah. And when I scroll through Twitter, I see Munaf's picks for the night. So it makes it really easy for me.
Yeah, that's true.
Pick 1 or 2 out, see what game's next going off, and I just pick it from there. And I've done really well, to be fair. So Munaf's done good for me lately on the old baseball.
Yeah, okay. Why don't you marry him? And right, so I was watching the telly the other day, and it was that posh fella who wears posh coloured trousers. He's always on a train. Do you know the bloke I'm on about?
No, not a clue.
No, he's always on a train, and he wears posh trousers. Anyway, he was investigating fish sauce, right? And how to make fish sauce. He was in Vietnam. He'd been on a train. So, and this reminded me, but I've got a bottle of fish sauce in the cupboard. Well, it's not in the cupboard now because it's here. right? Squid brand, as you can see. Do you have fish sauce? Do you use fish sauce?
If I could be bothered, I've got a box here in the cupboard next to me, which is full of Oriental condiments, let's say.
All right.
So, you know, it's
think
next,
you got the fish sauce?
it'll be next to the rice wine, the soy sauce.
Yeah.
I'll have some fish sauce.
It's a pungent thing, the fish sauce. I only probably use it 2 or 3 times. If you look through the label, you can see how full it is there. It's probably I'd say bang on half full now. What I'm asking you, Baz, is what's the sell-by date on this bottle of fish sauce?
Oh, that's going to be an old one, isn't it? Because my fish sauce has probably been in there for a good 3 or 4 years. So I'm going to say that expired in 2016. That's a big bottle. It's a big old bottle.
Is a big, but that's what I mean. Like, how much fish sauce can you get through? Like, Baz, the Squid brand fish sauce, £1.20, by the way, bargain, expired on the 9th of December, 2010. 2010. You were miles away.
£1.20 is, I mean, that for 15 years ago, that's quite expensive.
Is it?
Anyway, we're here to talk football, Malcolm. So live update. Man U have just gone 2-0 down. Although,
yeah!
Hold on.
Oh, well,
it just flashed up a VAR review. It's not been disallowed yet. I haven't got the game on. I'm just looking at the live.
I had it on next door. I left Bob sitting there watching it and told him to come and tell me if anything happened. But
I think it's been chalked off.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah, offside. Disappointing there. I'm on the over 2.5 was my pick for that one. So a nice early goal for Sevilla. Just had a message through from one of the chats I'm in saying Man United look shite. And another one from Mick earlier on saying I see Slabheed and that Goff Divvy are both doing their usual routine.
It was a terrible goal. Like it was a pathetic decision from De Gea. And then obviously old Slabhead wasn't able to do anything about it. And they ended up 1-0 down. I'm on Sevilla. So there you go.
So Mick,
we'll have a quick.
Mick, who'd message me the other day. He enjoyed your come down with me crack. He's disappointed.
Oh, did he?
Come down with me, yeah.
Oh, mate. I forget about that. I forget that happens, you know. And then I sometimes I'd wistfully think back. I would have had the fish sauce out, Baz. I could have easily.
Exactly. And we also had a bit of chat about I told you my 10-year-old cooked a 3-course meal the other day.
Oh, yeah.
So Mick had also asked if he was failing as a parent as his 10-year-old can't even make his own toast.
Bob recently learned to make toast, and it was like world of toast around here for about a fortnight. He was just making toast, bringing to Dad, do you want some toast? No, I've had some toast. Dad, taste this toast. Like, that was the best one. Taste this toast. Like, he made the best ever toast. Like, he'd cracked it. He'd clocked toast. There was no more higher recipe than the recipe that Bob had done for toast. He's calmed down a bit now on the toast front. Like, so yeah, the European stuff then. I survived this week, Baz, which was all I hoped to do because I hadn't survived last midweek. I went 0 for 5. The highlight, in lots of ways, was Chelsea 0, Real Madrid 2. It was very funny. Hapless Frank cracked on with another defeat. One win in 17 games in all competitions and for all various clubs for Hapless Frank. But Madrid were 6-4 plus 150. Baz, you took the same pick. And it was fairly bloodless win for us.
Yeah, I mean, it was exactly as we thought, wasn't it? I mean, Chelsea created plenty of chances again, but as always, they can't take them. And we just said, as the game went on, we thought Real Madrid would pick them off, as they did with Liverpool in the second leg when the game was already pretty much won. Then it worked out exactly as planned, really. They did. They had loads of chances early on to get that goal that would have made it interesting for them, but they just can't finish, like. So yeah, fairly predictable, and as I say, great price when you look at it. Like, I mean, we thought that beforehand. It's always easier afterwards. But yeah, 6-4 was actually the only good outcome from the Champions League for me. Bit of a poor showing.
Did you miss the rest? I went 2-2 with that plus money winner, so I was all right. Napoli won, Milan won. I took Napoli to qualify. I said I'd handicap this game 3 times. In the last month and got it wrong every single time, so I just got it wrong again. Don't really know why Napoli can't beat Milan because they're not that good, but Milan would never really out of second gear here. Got a goal. Napoli equalised last kick of the game pretty much, and that was that pass.
Yeah, I mean, I got that side of the draw completely wrong. I thought Benfica and I thought Napoli would cruise through to the semi-finals, whereas the other side of it said Real Madrid were a good price. And also thought Man City would get passed by. And I think, as I say, that side of the draw was I would never have had Inter and Milan going through. I mean, I took Napoli to score 2 goals in that one and missed penalty. 70 minutes might have made it a bit more interesting. Kvaratskhelia missed from the penalty spot. And that was the end of that for me. And that was a similar story in the Man City game because I backed Man City to score 2 or more. That game also finished 1-1. And that game also had a missed penalty from Man City. So I feel a little bit unlucky in that I was a missed penalty away from hitting both of those.
I was getting World Cup vibes, all those missed pens costing us, because it was about 3 games in a row when we started doing the World Cup show that a missed pen cost me. Yeah, Munich won, Man City won. I took both teams to score in the first half. Obviously, neither of them did. It was kind of live for a bit. Munich made some chances, then they missed a penalty, but yeah, no good at all. And Inter 3, Benfica 3. Got one here, both teams to score. Fun, but the result was really never in doubt. And then, Baz, we dropped into the lower leagues. My game, Carlisle, were 3 minutes away from winning and getting me this one. They were 2-1. It's one of those where I feel like I was right. The pick was right because my pick, 2-1, were 3 minutes away from landing. So I feel like I did the right thing. But that element number 3 that we're talking about of getting that little bit of luck didn't quite happen. So yeah, that one didn't cash either. Your League One play, what happened there?
I took Ipswich, didn't I, in the handicap. They'd kept 10 clean sheets in 11 games. They blew that this week, went 1-0 down, came back to win the game. An important result for Ipswich at the top of the league, but didn't cover the handicap. So a little bit frustrating. First time in a while they haven't kept the clean sheet or got 3 or 4 goals in a game. So yeah, that let me down for the Ipswich pick, but also let the treble down because the treble I had Plymouth, Peterborough, and Ipswich, but Ipswich are stretched into the handicap. So they all 3 won on my treble, but I didn't get the Ipswich to cover the handicap. So a little bit disappointing with the League One foray in the midweek.
Yeah, well, we'll get back to our spiritual home, the Premier League, where we've been on absolute flames the last few weeks. I'll tell you first about Underdog Fantasy. The NBA and NHL playoffs are here. What better way to get down on some player prop parlays than over at Underdog Fantasy? Besides daily NHL, NBA and MLB games, they've also got great NFL best ball drafts with a guaranteed $500,000 in prizes. Head to underdogfantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN. Okay, so Friday night football. I love a bit of Friday night football. I don't have work tomorrow night, so I can watch this. Bit of a tricky one to handicap. Looks like a bit of a mismatch on paper, but they don't play on paper. Baz, this is why they play the games. We have Arsenal against Southampton. Arsenal are 1-5. Minus 500. The odds have changed here since our handicap this earlier on. The draws at 6-1 and Southampton are 16-1. So yeah, it's a hard one to handicap. You've got a 5-1 on favourite and a 16-1 underdog here. Arsenal have lost 2-0 leads in their last 2 games. Pretty disastrously last weekend at West Ham as well. 2-0 up inside 10 minutes. Then West Ham get one back. Arsenal miss a penalty. So I think the key to this game, the key to handicapping this game is the response you're going to get out of Arsenal. Because on all known form, this is a battering. Like, you can't look at this in any way and come and not handicap it as a 3-0, 4-0 Arsenal win, something like that. So assuming that they respond properly or respond well, like they don't drop their arse. And Southampton spring the massive shock. So at home this season, Arsenal have been great. 1-12, drawn 2, lost 1. They are averaging 2.88 goals per game in the last 8. Southampton look absolutely goosed. They've lost 3 in a row. They haven't scored in their last 3 away games. Their average goals scored in the last 8 is down 18.2%. and what they've been doing before that as well. So, of the couple of ways you had a handicap on this, I just think Southampton are done. Arsenal to win to 0 is going to be my pick. I think they'll get it done comfortably. I don't know. Again, I didn't want to take the 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. I'm just banking on the Arsenal clean sheet. I don't think Southampton have got it in them. Like I say, the last 3 away games they've blanked. Terrible result last weekend for them. So yeah, Arsenal to win to 0 is a price of 5 to 6, minus 120. And I'll take this opportunity to say hello to Slick Rick while he's here. Evening. Baz, Arsenal, Southampton.
Yeah, so similar thing in you. You're sort of looking at this game. We talk about how we're looking at Man City fixtures like this every week, aren't we? With Man City being 1-4s and 1-5. I can't remember the last time I seen Arsenal as short as 2-11 or 1-5, whatever it is at the moment, but rightfully so, yeah. I mean, as you say, they've blew a couple of 2-0 leads there. Definitely some signs of defensive frailties of late, which would concern me a little bit for your pick, because they have been conceding goals in a few games lately. I think they've only had 1 clean sheet in the last 5, possibly. The home form is
you're right. I think they've missed Saliba, Baz. Saliba's been a big miss. I saw today that he's not going to be back when they thought he was, but yeah, I agree with you, but I still just don't think Southampton have it in them, really. Any other team, possibly, but not them.
I mean, I don't dislike it. It's just a different way of skinning the cat, so to speak, in it. But the home form's still rock solid. Last 4 at home, they've won 4-1 v Leeds, 4-1 v Palace, 3-2 v Bournemouth, 4-0 Everton. So they're winning at home and they're winning well. And what better way to bounce back from those 2 disappointing draws than against Southampton team, who, as you say, they've just looked dead and buried. They're on a 6-game winless streak. Away from home, it's 4 defeats in the last 6. And they failed to score in 4 of those 6 games. So that does lend into your bet there. I mean, funnily enough, the 2 games they did pick up points from were against Chelsea and Man United. So in a 6-game away winless streak, as I say, they drew against Man United in the 0-0. Did they beat Chelsea? I think they beat Chelsea 1-0. I think you've got to back Arsenal here. So it's just, again, how do you play it? And I'm going to do the same as what I did last week on the Liverpool game, which we should mention, hit on Monday night. I went with first half goals. That hit. And also the 3-day parlay came up.
Did it? Did mine come here?
No, you took cards. There was only 1. You needed 3.
Shit, yeah, what a divvy.
So yeah, I hit the treble from last weekend. So anyone who was prepared to sweat it out all the way to Monday night would have cashed that. But I've gone back to the first half goals. It worked last week in the Liverpool game. Arsenal, as we know, have went 2-0 up very early in those last 2 games. They've scored in the first half in all of the last 5 games, and they've scored 2 or more in the first half in 4 of the last 5. So even if Southampton don't get involved, I think Arsenal can go 2 goals themselves early on. So it's just a different way of looking at it, trying to get the plus money for something. And it's over 1.5 first half goals at 11 to 10. Or if you want to be a bit bolder and like you think Southampton won't score, then you can take Arsenal to score 2 first half goals at 7 to 4. I don't mind that either. But I think Arsenal come flying out the traps again, take Southampton early on. So yeah, the pick for me is over 1.5 first half goals, but I might have a little sprinkle on Arsenal to score 2 or more in the first half at 7 to 4.
Serial's put up a good looking bet in the chat there. Arsenal half-time, full-time, and over 2.5 goals. Even money plus 100. So there's another option. Lunchtime on Saturday is Fulham against Leeds. 12:30 kickoff, this one, which is 7:30 Eastern time. Fulham 13 to 10. Plus 130. The draw 12 to 5 plus 240, and Leeds are 21 to 10 plus 210. Baz, Fulham, Leeds.
Yeah, I'm all out of kilter here because I've done my notes on a different computer today. So I'm now sat with the kid's laptop at the side of me with my notes on instead of in the screen in front of me. So when I keep looking off to the side, that's
a bit of professionalism here, man.
I know the viewers would love looking into my eyes and that, but I'm going to be looking away a bit more tonight. Fulham, 3-1 win last week over Everton. That broke a 5-game losing streak. It's hard to know if that's going to be the start of any kind of revival. But this game should really give us a bit of an idea, because Leeds are showing signs of imploding at the moment. I mean, for Leeds, losing is one thing, but it's the manner of those last 2 defeats. They've absolutely just folded, haven't they? 6-1 against Liverpool, 5-1 against Palace. Leeds have now not kept a clean sheet in 7 league games. So I didn't really have to look far for a bet here. Leeds have scored 9 goals in the last 6 games. So despite being in poor form, they're averaging a goal and a half a game. They've also conceded 21 in the last 6 games. Obviously, 11 of those came in the last 2. Both teams to score has hit in all 6 of the last 6 for Leeds. Over 2.5 has hit in 6 on a row for Leeds. And actually, in the last 6 for Leeds, only one of them didn't go over 3.5 goals as well. And it's a similar for Fulham. There's enough there to say they can keep to their side of the bargain. They've also had no clean sheet in 6 games. Both teams to scores hit in 4 of 6 for them. Over 2.5 is hitting 4 of 6 for them. So I just thought both teams to score looked the obvious pick at around 7 to 10. It's a little bit short though, so I thought I'll go for the over 2.5 instead. That's closer to evens, 10 to 11. So for me, over 2.5 goals, Fulham v Leeds at 10 to 11 is my pick. And I don't mind riding it a little bit higher and taking the over 3.5 at around 11 to 5 plus 220. As I say, that's landed in 5 of the last 6 for Leeds. The over 3.5. So I'll take
do that thing that I do on countdown bars where I show you mine working out, because the exact same 2 thing, over 2.5 at 10 to 11, and next to it I've written down over 3.5 at 11 to 5. I mean, the total goals in Leeds' last 6 games, 4-6-5, 3-6-7. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't think they've got any intention of defending. They're not capable of defending. They're historically bad, and I think they'll just go for it. Fulham, we had them on the slide, didn't we? Until last week, they just went to Everton, completely played with a handbrake off, and duffed them up. So, yeah, hard to pick a side. You can't pick Leeds to win. Leeds never win. Don't know what to make of Fulham. But goals was your instinct when you first looked at it, and the more you looked into it, it was hard to get away. So, yeah, I'll take the same 2 picks. We get up that ladder. This could be 4-4 or something. 3 o'clock kick-off again is Brentford against Aston Villa. Brentford 6-4 plus 150. The draw is 9-4 plus 225, and Aston Villa are 15-8 plus 187. Brentford have lost 3 in a row. 2 of those without scoring. They were poor against Wolves last week. They did okay in the first half of the Newcastle game, but Newcastle got them back in the second half. Villa absolutely flying. Won 5 in a row. Won 7 of the last 8. They demolished Newcastle last week. I thought the wrong team was favourites here, Baz. Again, Villa have been really, really good to us. If you look, this 5-game winning streak, I think we've taken them in probably 4. We had them at Chelsea at 5-1. We had them against Forest on the handicap. Took them to beat Newcastle last week. I can't see why, especially at these prices, you can't take Aston Villa again. I think you almost have to at 15-8 plus 187. Say Brentford just seem to be dropping off a little bit. Their levels are dropping off. They've overperformed. And Villa just on the crest of a wave here. Yeah, and I think the wrong team's favourite. I think these prices should be the other way around. So give me Aston Villa, Baz, 15-8 plus 187.
Good stuff. I mean, I thought exactly the same as you. On current form, I just can't believe that Villa are as big a price as they are. I mean, Brentford are coming into it off the back of 3 defeats, 5 games without a win. Villa, on the other hand, coming in on the back of a 5-game winning streak. They're unbeaten in 8. Just 1 draw in those 8 games as well, so won 7 of the last 8. Villa have also kept 6 clean sheets in the last 8 games, scored 2 or more in 6 of the last 8. And Brentford have only kept 1 clean sheet in their last 10. Everything to me just points to Villa. And I think you have to take Villa at these prices. I know Brentford at home, though, are capable of beating anyone on that day. They do have a good performance in them. And as you say, that first half against us, they look lively. So I looked at the Brentford home form to see if there was anything that would put me off Villa. And I'd say the home form's just okay, really. Since the World Cup, 3 draws, 4 wins, and I think 2 defeats, possibly. But the last 3 wins at home for Brentford have come against Bournemouth, Southampton, Fulham. So, games you would expect them to be challenging to win at home anyway. They did have a good win against Liverpool in there. But they've also lost to Newcastle and West Ham lately, and they failed to beat Palace and Leicester at home. So there's plenty there to suggest Villa can get this done. But they do score often enough, Brentford, and that's the only thing that sort of slightly pushed me in another direction. And I'm not saying I think they'll win the game. I do think Villa is the pick on the money line. But only West Ham have kept a clean sheet against Brentford since the World Cup. They are scoring pretty much every game. So while I will back Villa here, my main pick for this one is going to be Villa to score 2 or more goals. It's just very slightly shorter at 13-8. And that just gives me the cover against a big Brentford home performance and a 2-2 or even a 3-2 Brentford, something daft like that. Brentford have scored 2 or more in 5 of the last 9 home games. So I'm just happy to have the 2-2 on my side. I still think Villa are the bet. I still think Villa are the bet at the prices. But for me, Villa to score 2 or more at 13-8 is going to be my pick. And again, I'm a little bit tempted to take it higher. Villa could have had 4 or 5 against Newcastle last week. And that's Newcastle, who have got a solid defensive record across the season. There's not many teams have put more than 1 past Newcastle. So Villa to score 3 or more is available at 6-1. And Villa to score 4 or more is available at 18-1. So a little sprinkle on those. But yeah, the main pick for me, Villa to score 2 or more, 13-8.
Bazza's Ladders, back again. Next up, 3 o'clock.
Right. Slick Rick's just put it in there. He says the books are sleeping on Villa. And I think they are. If I'd looked at handicap this game before I'd looked at the betting, I'd have had Villa down as favourites. I'd have thought Villa
100%.
Goes at 6-4, 11-8, something like that. Just on form alone. But yeah, you've got to go with Villa in some form. And as I say, I've just gone a different way to you.
Completely agree with you, Baz. Crystal Palace against Everton. Crystal Palace 21-20 plus 105. The draw is 11-5 plus 220. Everton are plus 275, 11-4. Baz, tell us who you're going to bet on and why is it Crystal Palace?
It's not Palace, funnily enough.
What?
You're
mad, you, Baz. You're not well.
I move on when it's time to move on, Malcolm.
Do you? Cold-blooded, you.
Strike at the right time, So, Palace have had a proper resurgence, 3 wins in a row, 9 goals scored. For context, in the previous 10 games, they scored just 6 goals, and they've now scored 9 in the last 3. Everton, on the other hand, look decidedly average, don't they? They've picked up the odd win here and there since Dyche come in, which is keeping them just above the relegation zone. But it looks very much as if Everton are going to be right in this relegation battle right up to the last day, as far as I can see, because they're not capable of going on any kind of run to get them away from it. The type of run that the likes of Palace have done, or teams like Bournemouth have done to get themselves away from it. No win in 4 for Everton, and just 1 win in 7 now. And the home defeat against Fulham would have set the alarm bells ringing, I think, because the home form, we'd said, that's the type of games where they'll grind out a 1-0 win, get them the sort of 3 points that'll probably keep them up, if they can keep picking them up. But they didn't do so. So they've also just 1 clean sheet in the last 8 games. And with Palace firing again and full of confidence, that doesn't bode well for Everton either. So as I say, I've taken Palace 3 weeks on a row at good prices. And a lot of that was just the value offered. I thought the prices were too big. But as they're getting closer to even money here, I just think the price becomes a bit more prohibitive. And I don't fancy backing Palace at around evens in this spot. That's not to say I don't think they'll win. I just think, I'm always looking at what do I think will happen. But also, you've got to look at, do you think the price is what you were hoping for? And I don't quite think it is. So I'm not going to take them to win it. Not to say they won't. I'm going to go down to both teams to score route here. Although Everton only have 1 win in 6, they have scored in 5 of the last 6 games. Only Man United kept a clean sheet against Everton. And Palace, clean sheet against Southampton last week was their first clean sheet since a 0-0 back in February against Liverpool. Both teams to scores available at evens, and that's a pick here for me. I think Everton are scoring off They won't likely score more than one. But in current form, you'd also back Palace to get in there on the other side of it. So, yeah, Everton, Palace, or Palace, Everton, both teams to score at evens.
I hate that, Baz. Everton
I could tell by the look
score.
on your face you hated it.
I was furious. I nearly
you've hated every Palace pick I've made in the last few weeks, and most of them have come in. So
yeah, you're right. Like you've it's good. It's good news for you.
Of opposing you.
The sad news for Crystal Palace fans is I'm taking Palace here. I'm on the bandwagon too late, Baz. I'm jumping on the back of the train after it's pulled out of the station. If that's a correct analogy, I don't know. I mean, they're in form. They're playing full of freedom. They're full of goals. This isn't the kind of game Everton need. Everton need to play someone really dog shit.
Score update. Man United are 2-0 down against Sevilla.
Yeah!
And plenty time to get their third. Get
in. Get your Spider-Man pyjamas on. Where's the... anyway, shut up. Childish. So, yeah. Terrible performance last week for Everton against Fulham. Big red flag that was for me. That was Everton's MO. They're the games Everton are going to win, not these ones. And they haven't got a goal in them, Baz. You've taken both teams to score. They have not got a goal in them. Crystal Palace, 21-20, plus 105 for me. Right, next up, still at 3 o'clock, is Leicester against Wolves. Leicester 13-9, plus 145. Draw is 23-10, plus 230. Wolves on 19-10, plus 190. This was a tricky one. Oh my goodness, complicated game to handicap. I think the key here is, do you get the new manager bounce? You're still allowed the new manager bounce in your second game. What's the rules? If the first game was a complete write-off, because
I think your first game against Man City.
Yeah,
I mean, I've got this in my notes, the exact same discussion. So yes, I think you have.
You're allowed it, yeah. But it's been there 10 days now. The players are not going to be as excited. They're going to think, actually, that John Terry's a bit of a dick.
They're excited, weren't they, for Dean Smith?
Oh, they were thrilled, and that bloke with carrying the 2 balls like that. They're sick of him. He's already gotten everyone's nerves. So, yeah, do you get a new manager bounce? Leicester's home form is absolutely appalling. They won 4 out of 16. However, Wolves' away form is just as bad. They've won 2 of 15 away from home. They have won 2 games in a row, Wolves, and looked quite good against Brentford last week. But yeah, at home is where Wolves are going to do their thing. There's no patterns to find anywhere. Both teams to score over 2.5. Couldn't find it. So what happened here was I had to call an audible, Baz. There was a big scribble on my notes. I don't want to bet Wolves. That was fine. That's not in dispute. I then wrote down Leicester at 13-9. I since have discovered that Harvey Barnes will not be playing. Harvey Barnes is probably the second best player behind Maddison, but he's also the top scorer as well. And I mean, that's a big thing. You've got to be able to score goals. Sounds fairly obvious. But if you can't kick it in the goal, Baz, you're not going to win. So I have scribbled out my Leicester pick, and I've gone for the draw. 1-1, possibly a 0-0. But yeah, the draw for me at 23-10, and it was that news on Barnes being out. They just took that 1 goal win away from Leicester and turned it into a point apiece for these two.
So Captain Insano was asking, doesn't Baz have a system on Wolves? Well, the system was on Wolves' home games, and it went tits up last week.
Broke, gone, Captain, dead.
13-game streak that ended last week with Wolves beating, can't remember who it was now. Anyway, we backed them to get beat, and the system's gone.
Brentford.
So, yeah, scribble that system out of your mind. It doesn't exist anymore, and it never existed in Wolves away games. I wrote it down the same as you. Hard game to handicap. It should be easier on paper than when you look at Leicester's form, but then, as you say, you look into the Wolves stuff, and it's not much better. And I've just said I struggled a bit opposing Leicester because of the fact that all these runs come to an end somewhere, and it's just finding the right spot. No win in 9, just 1 draw in those 9 games. The only slight positive I could find is that they have scored a goal in 5 of the last 6. They actually played quite well against City last week. I mentioned on the show earlier in the week They had a higher XG in that game despite losing 3-1 to City. And I think that's what gave me doubts about opposing them. I feel like, we said at the time Dean Smith was a weird appointment. But, like you said, nobody was expecting him to come in and mastermind a win over Man City. But he could come in and mastermind a win over Wolves.
Could he?
I think he could. So I talked myself into Leicester a bit. Wolves have had back-to-back wins and back-to-back clean sheets, Brentford and Chelsea, but they were both at home. Their away form, they haven't won in 4 and just 1 win in 8. And they've not kept a clean sheet away from home since August. That's astonishing, isn't it? So they don't keep clean sheets. They always concede on the road. And that's why I've sort of talked myself into Leicester a bit. I did so before looking at the odds, and I would say I expect Leicester to be a little bit bigger. I've got them around 6-4. I thought this would be a little bit closer, but I've been bold enough to take similar teams in similar sort of runs in the past. I took Palace the other week coming off a horrendous run and got on them at the right time. I took Bournemouth earlier in the season against Wolves when they had been on a horrendous winless streak. And I think this could be the spot for Leicester. So I'm being bolder than you, and I'm going to take Leicester. It's not a fancy price. I think 6-4 is okay. It's not amazing. I would have liked it being a bit bigger. But yeah, the pick for me is Leicester to beat Wolves at 6-4.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you about that, Baz, because that's what I had written down. It was just that Harvey Barnes use, because they say you take your top scorer out of a team and they don't have an awful lot of Patson Daka. You see Jamie Vardy, Ponsonby Smythe, what's his name? It's just a little bit underwhelming, like sure. The SGP and Merge store, that's a good place to go if you want, in honour of the NBA playoffs from now until the end of the season. The end of the season, the end of April, you can get 10% off anything in the SGP and Merge store, including this hoodie, including this hat. You can't see this hat. Use the promo code SGPNBA. Head to store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com and use the promo code SGPNBA to get 10% off everything. It says here, Bars, in big yellow letters. Mention what item you like in the merch store. You do that.
I like my hoodie. I've got my SGPN hoodie on now. It's a very good quality hoodie. It's very warm, although I'll probably stop wearing it soon because it's getting towards the spring now. But it is... I'm always sitting on the sofa with a blanket on. I sit in shorts and t-shirt all day, every day in the house. But if it's cold, I'll put a blanket on. Now I don't need to. I put my hoodie on. The hoodies are really good quality and nice. Wear it everywhere
lovely,
now.
Lovely sales, Baz. Lovely sales technique. ABC, always be closing. What film's that from? Glenn Ross is the answer. Trivia. I'm like Barry Norman. Next up, 3:00, Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest. Liverpool are 4-25. Minus 625. Draw is 13-2 plus 650. Forest are 16-1. Our second 16-1 shot. This is all you, Baz. What you got?
Oh man,
you're laughing at
Liverpool and a few things I've seen from their fans this week, with them just getting a little bit carried away after that 6-1 win against Leeds. So I was on social media and seen. One of the Liverpool Twitter pages, not the official one, saying how many points will Liverpool get from their run in, listed the fixtures, and the amount of Liverpool fans saying, we've got 8 games, several of them saying, we win all of them, 24, and make a good push for 4th. There was a couple of them being pragmatic and going for 22 points and maybe 21 and still snatching top 4. I just thought it was a little bit carried away after the 6-1 against Leeds. It was almost as if they forgot that they'd been on a 5-game winless streak before that. So yeah, I did have a little bit of a chuckle at that. I mean, I get Twitter isn't really a fair representation of a club's fan base, and I do know quite a few Liverpool fans who are and Slick Rick's.
Oh shit, Baz! Slick Rick's a Liverpool fan. Might have to tone it down, Baz.
Well, you see, I was just about to come down a little bit anyway and say I do know quite a few Liverpool fans. I work with a couple. Big Dave, who listens to the show, is a Liverpool fan, and most of them, to be fair, are far more realistic. But yeah, Twitter can be just ridiculous at times. I
think they're all idiots, Baz.
Fan bases, isn't it? That said, when all that's said and done, I think Liverpool will win here, and they will win well. We've wrote Forest off weeks ago. An under-strength Man United team last week made relatively easy work of them, and that was at the City ground where Forest are supposedly better. Although that sort of home form for Forest's gone now as well. Liverpool's home form is good. They've no defeat in the league since the end of October. Forest are now 10 games without a win. Away from home for Forest, it's 6 defeats in a row and just 1 point from their last 8. They've conceded 20 goals in the last 8 games. So I do think Liverpool will win. I think they'll win well. I don't think they'll win all of their last 8 games. But they'll win here and they'll score 3 or more goals. So that's the pick for me. Liverpool over 2.5 team goals at 4-5.
Tell you what, Baz, there's some joined up thinking going on from me and you tonight. I think this could be an absolute bloodbath. Forest are doomed. Doomed, I tell you. Liverpool got Diaz back the other night, which is a bonus for them, to add to Gakpo, Nunes, Salah and Jota. I mean, that's 5 absolute top-class strikers. Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah. I thought this might be Baz's ladders. My initial bet is the same as yours. Liverpool team total over 2.5. 4-5 minus 125 with my little ladder drawn next to it. Over 3.5 is 2-1. Over 4.5 is 9-2. And I have found a life-changing bet if you want to gamble responsibly, which we don't encourage. Liverpool half-time, full-time is 11-18 minus 164. Stick your house on it. You'll have a house and 2/3 of another house by the time that finishes.
And I told you the other day, I've done the ladder on the game on Monday. I took the same price. It was Liverpool to score 2 or more was 4-5. I got Liverpool to score 3 or more at 5-2. We then got 4 or more at 7-1 and 5 or more at 18-1. Unfortunately, Bet365 weren't offering 6 or more. Otherwise, we could have probably got that at about 40-1. But I did go up the ladder on the Monday. Posted that in the Discord afterwards, which is never good, really, is it? You know, when you don't
after time, and you love that once a week, Baz. You get a reputation, you know. Once a week, Baz sneaks. He puts his sneaky little winners in that he hasn't told anyone about. Oh, look what I did, lads! Look what I did. I mean, so, yeah, this is the perfect forum, Baz, for, I would suggest, putting those bets out. This is kind of why we're here.
But you know, we are limited to about an hour. And I can't. And sometimes this is why
do them first. Put them ones in first, and leave all the shit ones out.
This is why you've got to be everywhere, aren't you? Twitters, Discords, all that. Because sometimes things pop into your mind at the last minute. But yeah, I don't mind a ladder at all. I agree with you. I think it could be a bloodbath here for Forest.
That little impression I did, Baz, that is exactly how you talk as well. Just in case you were wondering. Next up, Sunday, 2:00. Bournemouth v West Ham. Bournemouth are 7-4 plus 175. The draw's 9-4 plus 225. West Ham 8-5 plus 160. Bournemouth have won 4 of 6, remarkably. And the 2 defeats have come to, apart from Manchester City, probably the 2 best form teams in the table, Brighton and Aston Villa. West Ham picked up 4 points, 4 huge points, really. A win at Fulham. And then an excellent draw against Arsenal last week. Give them a huge boost in their bit to stay up. Confidence will be high, having come from 2 down last week. This was pretty easy when I started looking at the trends, Baz. Bournemouth always score at home. West Ham have scored in 6 of the last 7. Both teams are playing well. Both teams to score is 4-5, minus 120, Baz.
It's unbelievable, this, Malcolm.
No, you haven't, have you? Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, I've said similarly, Bournemouth have done really well. 4 wins from the last 6. Moved them up to 14th, now 6 points clear of the bottom 3. And I think they'll pick up enough points now and stay up. I never wrote them off quite as much as you had earlier on when we looked at the relegation. I thought Bournemouth could get away from it. I didn't think... I
had them going down with 17 points when I did that in January. And they were on 17 points at the time. So, I got that really, really wrong.
They've won 5 of the last 9. And if you look at the 4 defeats they've had, Arsenal, Man City, Brighton and Villa, so 4 teams who are banging form as well. I mean, West Ham are on such a team. They're not banging form, but they're doing okay. They've lost only 1 of the last 5 league games now, I think, West Ham. And the game's pretty much a pick 'em, isn't it? The bookies can can barely split them. There isn't an outcome here that would be a huge shock. So again, I'm similar to you, heading to the goals market, and I thought both teams to score as well. West Ham have scored in 6 of the last 7. And Brentford's 2-0 defeat against Brighton in their last home game was the first home game in 7 that they haven't managed to score in. So at home, they have got a good, Bournemouth, sorry. Yeah. Cut the crap. Give me Bournemouth. Both teams to score. Give both teams to score 4-5. Bournemouth v West Ham.
Have you had a stroke, Baz?
Team ride. No, I keep asking her if she won't do it.
Look at Baz doing the funnies. The final Prem game this weekend is also 2 o'clock. What time's that? 9 a.m. Eastern time between Newcastle United and Tottenham Hotspur. A game I shall be at. Newcastle are 5-6 minus 120. Draws 11-4 plus 275. Tottenham is 16-5 plus 320. Bazza, the tune against Spurs.
I mean, first things first, Malcolm. Do you know about the big event happening at half time in the Toon v Spurs game?
There's going to be a nuclear bomb warning or something, and we all have to run around and not panic. Everybody
in the UK is going to get an alarm on their phone at 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, which is testing some sort of major event alert system. So it's going to be interesting. Well, it might not be interesting because you can never get a fucking signal in St. James.
You can't get a signal within 3 miles of the ground, 3 days either side of a match.
So what will be interesting is to see whether miraculously 52,000 people can get a signal at 3 o'clock and just what sort of noise it makes when 52,000 phones goes off. It'll be interesting. But I suspect half of them won't get a ping at all until they leave the ground and get further down the road. But back to the football. As Newcastle were well beaten last week. You know, we covered that one to death earlier in the week. Prior to that was 5 wins in a row. We'd scored 13 goals in that run and conceded only 4. And we've still lost just the one home game all season, that being the 2-0 against Liverpool, where Pope was sent off early on. I mean, that's not to use that as an excuse for 2-0 down before he got sent off. Spurs last 6, 2 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws. They're a team devoid of any confidence or any kind of plan at the moment. And under Stellini, it's just the same shit as it was under Conte, isn't it? Nothing's changed apart from the man on the touchline. Is he banned this week, Stellini? He got sent off, didn't he?
He got sent off for being the only person not involved in that fight, didn't he?
They might have backtracked and let him off for that. Maybe he was. I mean, who cares if he's in the dugout? Doesn't really matter, let's be honest. So, 2 wins in the last 6, but let's remember one of them was that dodgy one against Brighton where they absolutely stole 3 points. And the other one was a home game against Forest, who were the worst away team in the league. So Spurs away form is hopeless, 4 defeats in a row and no win in 6 in all competitions. So I just kept this really simple. I've just taken Newcastle on the money line for me, 5-6. I just think we'll get the job done at home. And I think the Spurs team are on the slide. Just keep it simple. Newcastle to win 5-6.
Newcastle to win for Bars. I mean, for me, looking for comps, I like to find a comparison. And we've seen this recently. Newcastle at home against big teams in big spots have just been getting it done. It's a Sunday afternoon. We said about the Man United game. We dominated Man United 3 weeks ago. A game I was never as bullish as I've been in my life. We dominated Manchester City for large spells in the 3-3 draw. And you can go back to last year, the Arsenal game. Arsenal came up needing to win to get the Champions League. And we just smashed the daylights out. It's a combination of the crowd, the team are up for it, the extra few beers. And Spurs are fully prepared here to shit their pants and down tools after 10 minutes. If it's not going their way, there's a team, they'll happily just say, nah, this isn't for us. Like you say, they're in absolute shambles at the moment. So the attractive thing about that Man United day was the price. Newcastle were a big old price. Yeah. They're only 5-6 this time around. It's like the bookies have cottoned on a little bit. But Newcastle should make changes. Last week they rested Longstaff, Anthony Gordon. It was a bad game for him to get involved with. He needs a home game against Southampton where we can win 4-0 and he can get on the ball. So we'll be back to normal, back at full strength. Almiron's available. I've taken the same bet again, Baz. Newcastle are at 5-6, -120 to get this done.
Slick Rick's made a good point. He says it's hard to back anything in their games at the moment, and I get that. What he does like is live bets against them when they go ahead. And it's definitely relevant. They were ahead against Everton. Everton came back late, equalised. Ahead against Southampton. Southampton got that 3-3 draw, and they were ahead against Bournemouth last week and fucked that up as well. So if Spurs do go 1-up, maybe that's the time to get involved. I mean, it's funny actually that because they didn't go through that streak. It was ridiculous. Something like 12 games where they conceded first in every game earlier in the season, didn't they? And now, when they do go ahead, they don't like it. They go and blob it. So, different
absolutely.
That's Slick Rick there. I don't mind that at all.
That is rock solid advice from Slick Rick. I like that a lot. Right, we're going to finish off with the two FA Cup semi-finals, both being played at Wembley. One on Saturday and one on Sunday. Saturday's game is a 4:45 kickoff, which is 11:45 Eastern time. Manchester City will take on Sheffield United. Man City are -700 or thereabouts. The draw is 8-1. Sheffield United are 14-1. So again, third time in this episode, we're handicapping a -500 or bigger favourite. There's no reason why City won't turn up and turn in what is now their kind of standard performance, which is just to be brilliant. I mean, they've done it to everyone they've come across recently, Bayern Munich counted. It's hard not to fear for Sheffield United in this spot. Sheffield United are going really well in the Championship. If you're not aware, they are 7 points above Luton Town in second place, so they're still very short price favourites to get automatic promotion back to the Premier League. They're not conceding a shitload of goals, Sheffield United. Only 0.63 goals in the last 8 matches. I think here they can give a good account of themselves in the first half. They're going to be up for it. They're going to be feisty. They're going to run round. They're going to defend like badgers. Manchester City coming off a European trip, a big week, might just be a little bit more of a slow burner. I've got Baz, the first half goals under 1.5. So maybe Man City can pick them off once. With Sheffield United, it'll be tooth and nail. That's 15-17, which is a price of -130. So a shade of odds on. Might end up 3 or 4-0, but for the first 45 minutes, Sheffield United will give it a right good go. Keep it down to under 1.5 goals, Baz.
Don't like it at all. Not.
Oh, shit.
Well, isn't there
go the other way?
Just go 3-0 up and then half time take off Haaland and whoever else and then cruise the rest of the game. There's no bet for me. I haven't got any alternatives for you. I just don't like
no bet.
No bet.
Sorry? Say again?
You can't force me into a bet on this game.
I can.
No way. Not having it.
I will.
This is the Premier League Gambling Podcast. And we've put a pick out for every Premier League game. But you can't force me into an FA Cup pick.
I can. So you get an email of Human Resources who'll drop into your inbox in the next hour.
They can buzz off. I mean, I just think
they can buzz off.
It's tricky though, isn't it? City are too short, right? And I get why you then can look the opposite side of that.
Fucking
I mean, because we always look for City handicaps or good team goals. You'd have to be backing them to win by. You'd have to pay like a -2.5. Or 14 goals or something just to get close to even money. And it's just a bit too extreme. We know he'll rest players when he goes ahead. So, again, it leads into your side of things. They might win it 4 or 5-0, but what price are you going to get for them to win 4 or 5-0?
City to win to nil. Slick Rick's giving you there. -109.
Because I looked at the corners, because City can be good in these games where they dominate. And you've got to back City to get 8 or more corners just to get close to even money. So for me, I'm not having it. And as I say, you could look the other way and think, well, if City are so short, there must be value on the other side. But nobody's going to be surprised if they do win 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, whatever. There's nothing that stands out for me. I'll just leave this one.
3 words, piece of advice from Captain Insano: grow some balls.
He's also said from the ladies' tee. So I'll take that on the chin. That's absolutely fine. I've no problem with that. But yeah, when Man City go 3-0 up and finishes 3-0, everybody will be losing because they've all backed them to score 4 or more, and people like you have backed them to score none in the first half and things like that.
Good. I'd rather lose a tenner than not have a bet. That's pathetic.
This is where you need to be in Discord, because by Sunday, well, is it the Saturday game or Sunday?
Oh, is this what you're going to do? Is this the one you're keeping to yourself?
I'll probably end up, if it's on the TV, let's be honest, I'm going to have an interest on it. So we'll see. But
we're doing 10 games. You're not picking one, so we'll knock 10% off your fee for this show, Baz. Will come out for this. You'll receive 90% of your standard fee because you've taken yourself away from the entire reason that we're here. Right, okay. See if you can pick something here, Baz. We'll give it a go. Sunday afternoon, 4:30 kickoff, 11:30 Eastern time is Brighton against Manchester United. It's the second semi-final. Brighton 6-4 plus 150. The draw is 5-2 plus 250. Man United 7-4 plus 275. We'll hand this across to Mr. Barry No-Bet Penaluna. What you got?
I've got a bet for this one. I mean,
hey.
Obviously, as I say, I haven't put a huge amount of thought into these FA Cup games because this is the Premier League gambling podcast. So you take me picks with a pinch of salt for these FA Cups, or my pick, because I've only got one. I mean, whilst we've been on the show, I've had 3 different messages saying what a shambles Man United's defence looks, or how shit Maguire looks. I am obviously not watching the game, but it's everything Man United fans feared when Martinez and Varane got injured, and everything people expected might happen. This is Man United's first away tie in the competition. They've bagged a home draw all the way through, haven't they? And they were fortunate to get here, really. That Fulham game, Fulham 1-0 up, cruising, missed a sitter, and then self-imploded, didn't they, with the multiple red cards and all that. Fortunate to get past Fulham in that one. The bookies can barely split these two, and I think that's fair. Rashford's back on the bench tonight, so probably will be involved. As we know, no Varane, no Martinez. And I noticed Shaw, who's been injured, was back on the bench also, so probably ends up playing at the weekend and probably playing in centre-half. It'll be interesting to see whether it's Varane or Maguire who make way, but I think Shaw's likely to play centre-half because, I know there's probably people who think Maguire gets a bit of a bad press, and it might be exaggerated a little bit. But every time I watch them, certainly for Man United, he just looks nervous. He looks scared. He looks like an accident waiting to happen. Yeah. And I just think it's mental, isn't it? He's had so many sort of doubters for so long now. So I'd be interested to see if he does start. But yeah, I think this Brighton team can cause problems, and I think my pick here is backed up even more by seeing the result tonight, where they're still 2-0 down. I think as soon as those defensive injuries come along, a lot of Man United fans thought the season might sort of falter a little bit, and I still think they'll get the top 4. But it might be that they end up knocked out of both cups this week. It might be a bad week for them. I think Brighton to win is good enough for me. I just think Brighton are in great form against a Man U defence who can't be trusted. I thought goals. I thought over 2.5 was worth a look, but it's a bit short at 4-6. So I'm just going to be brave. Take Brighton to win. Good enough to beat this Man U side. I think they're around 6-4. I'll take Brighton on the money line to beat Man United.
This is amazing to see Brighton as favourites against Manchester United in a cup semi-final. But they're playing so well. I think the one thing you could point at maybe would be a lack of experience, very similar to the League Cup final when people held that against Newcastle. And it proved to be worth something. I think the difference is that Newcastle were in a bit of a slump when that happened, when the game came around. But Brighton aren't. Brighton are the absolute opposite. They're 100%. Evan Ferguson is going to be a miss. Although he's only just recently got into the team, but he looks really, really sharp. Man United are missing a few. The Morrison's fishmonger is still not fit. Rashford might be okay. Shite, I've written down. Same pick, Baz. Brighton 6-4. Again, watch them tonight. It's getting to the point, Baz. Nearly feel a bit sorry for Harry Maguire. I don't know if I'm going a bit soft.
No, I get
nearly.
I agree. But as I say, because when you look at him playing, I think it is getting to him because he is a better player. I think he is a better player than he's showing at the moment. And I think it's daft that he still starts for England, but at the same time, I understand why, because he hasn't really let Southgate down at any point. But for Man United, as I say, you feel like there's a mistake coming all of the time. Has been on goals lately. He was unlucky not to give away a penalty last week. He was booked in the first 5 minutes last week. Just little things where you think, oh, man, I'd hate to be watching that if I was a Man United fan. But we'll see.
We will see.
Slick Rick's put a little builder bet for that game, over 2.5 goals. Brighton to get 5 or more corners. And 4 or more total cards in the game, comes in at around 7-2. So if you're looking for something a little bit fancy, there's your pick.
Another £1 fine for Captain Insano in the chat. Right, dog scorer parlay time. My lock, Baz, Liverpool team total over 2.5, 4-5. I can't see how they don't score 6 here. Are you laughing because you picked the same thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Double lock.
Yeah, that's fine. It's
Yeah, it is fine.
We're 100% on my locks, Malcolm. So we'll either be 100% after this.
Munaf had to have a little father-son chat with me a couple of weeks ago because I changed my lock because Noah or Dylan had picked it on the show. And then the original one won and mine lost. And he said, listen, you stick with it. If it's going out as a doubler, goes out as a doubler. So we'll stick with a double lock, Baz. Right then, we're going to run through. So my dog, Baz, Aston Villa, 15-8.
Aston Villa, 15-8.
Oh my God. Right, we can't have the same goal scorer. This is impossible. Because Liverpool are going to score at least 7 goals, you've then got to take your pick out which of those 5 top-class strikers are going to get it. I've written down Luis Diaz just for a change of scenery. Because I think he might get a game. Oh no, Barry's got his head in his hands here. Luis Diaz. No, neither am I. If he's not, you pivot to whichever one is, because they're all similar. Salah's odds on, Darwin's about 11-10, and then the rest are all similar. Gakpo, Diaz, and Jota. So whichever one of those 3, I wrote Luis Diaz down because I just saw, like I say, he got a big round of applause the other night, and it's a good game for him to get a start here.
Now, if he starts, I've no problem with it at all. I'm not sure. He's been out for so long. I'm not sure they'll rush him back and start him this weekend after just one 20-minute outing. I did look at the same game. I didn't go with it because I wanted someone a bit better priced, really. Initially, my thinking was I was going in looking at Jota. Would have been my first pick. Gakpo possibly as well. I wouldn't be taking Salah at odds on, but you can see why he is odds on. But I went back to Watkins. Again, because I think Villa are overpriced. And I think because Villa are overpriced, I think Watkins is overpriced. He's 15-8 to score any time. He's scored in 10 of the last 12 games. He scored 2 against us. That was the first time he'd scored a double all season. But he's just scoring nearly every week at the moment. 10 out of the last 12 he's scored in, and you're getting 15-8 for him. So my score is Watkins to score any time at 15-8. And I'm going to have a little sprinkle on him to score 2 or more again, 12-1. And if you're doing that, you've got to go for the hat-trick, 50-1 for a Watkins hat-trick.
Yeah, it's go on, Baz. My parlay, I struggled a bit with this, but I have dug out Crystal Palace on the money line, Liverpool half-time, full-time, which was that bet I liked to throw out earlier on, and Bournemouth, West Ham, both teams to score. That treble pays 5-1, Baz.
Yeah, I've got a similar sort of price. And I've gone back to the team goals, team total goals, trebles, because I've hit them 2 weeks in a row now. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I've started on the Friday night game. I did try and see if we could make it another 3-day parlay, but I didn't like any of the Sunday stuff. So we've got Arsenal to score 3 or more, and then Villa and Liverpool to score 2 or more. The Liverpool one's a bit short. They want 4 to score 2 or more, but it just pushed it up a little bit. So again, around 5-1. So a team totals, Arsenal to score 3 or more, Liverpool 2 or more, and Villa 2 or more, 5-1 for me.
Beautiful. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, has got us to the end of the show. There will be no show on Sunday because I'm going to be at the match and full of beer. So we'll do that on Monday. So don't expect us on on Sunday night. Baz, anything else you need to tell the people before we crack on?
I don't think so. I'm just thinking there's no Monday night game, is there?
There's games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, though. So lots of Prem next week.
The only other thing I've got to tell you is Man United are now 3-0 down.
Yeah.
What was your pick for that one, Morgan?
What?
What was your pick?
Sevilla to win, Baz, was my pick.
What price were they? They were a big price as well, weren't they?
13-5, Baz, plus 260.
Well, I mean, I considered that. I thought the prices were skewed the wrong direction. I went with the over 2.5 in the end, but wow.
It's because, Baz, Man United are absolutely rubbish.
Yeah,
it's fairly straightforward. Like, it's quite a simple system I'm employing. Let's fade the rubbish team. Let's pick all the good teams who are going to beat them. Newcastle, Sevilla, Liverpool, Brighton this weekend. It's not complicated, but I mean, they're just giving you money.
You've probably just turned off about 40% of our listeners.
Yeah, sorry, Nick. 40% of our listeners is Nick. Yeah. He's all right, man. Yeah, they won the cup. Congratulations on that. Right, okay, let's go, Baz. I've got, if you want to listen to some MLB shenanigans, in 18 minutes' time, you'll be able to listen to me do a bit of that as well. So we'll crack on. So, yeah, show's on Monday, but there's loads of winners in this show that we've just given out. I can feel it in my bones. Appreciate everyone joining in. Good fun. Get in the Discord channel. Baz is right, and he might put some of his secret bets in there as well, so who's to know? If not, we'll make him neck this fish sauce.
We might get some League One stuff in there again this week.
Oh yeah, we like that.
Or Wrexham. I fancy the Wrexham goals this weekend, Morgan. I know you're trying to end this show because you've got baseball in a little bit.
Yeah, it's all right, Baz. You just
get in the Discord.
The small talk. Right, shut up. Good luck. Love you, everyone. We'll see you down the road. Cheers.